Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story now, man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. It's the kickoff of Women's History Month, and Satideh Mawnin Runnings ask the question, where did we go wrong? Well, we may have the answers you seek. Dr. Elaine Brown-Cameron joins the crew to discuss women's insecurities, low self-esteem. Improper eating habits have us obsessively thinking about our bodies and appearance, causing us to put too much emphasis on our weight, shape, or size. But how does society see women in their roles and responsibilities in the home, church, work, school, and communities? Does our appearance detract from our competencies? Come on, women, let us not forget we are stronger together. A Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Come, make we talk.
Well, a Saturday morning, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the feature this morning, aired live here on Inside the Zone YouTube channel with yours truly, Lady D Denise Gomez, producer of Inside the Zone. Inside the Zone is aired Mondays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Linkage Radio in Mount Vernon, New York. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. You're coming on for the first time. See it right there. Subscribe. Use your finger. Tap it. You see over there. So like it. And say, hey, come on over a Saturday morning. This week's topic, Women's History Month. Where did we go wrong? And we could not discuss this topic without an expert. So if you notice, there is an unfamiliar face to many of you, but certainly familiar to many others. Dr. Elaine is with us. Elaine Brown-Cameron is with us. So I'd give her first preference this morning to say hello to Jackie Max. And Sharns will be joining us in a few minutes. Jen will regrettably not be able to join us, but I know she'll catch the delayed live stream of this or podcast. So I'd like to say hi, Dr. Elaine, unmute and come on in.
Hi, good morning. Can you all hear me very well?
Yes,
ma'am. Loud and clearly. Yes, we're hearing you. Good
Okay,
morning.
I think my mic is a little
Nice
low,
to
but
have
as
you.
long as you can hear me, that's the important thing.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much for inviting me this morning, and I look forward to have a very interesting exchange.
That's right.
I'll do a little bit of an overview to start with, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And if I'm going a little bit over the time, let me know.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it in the time that I have.
Not a
Okay.
problem.
So I guess you're probably asking, who is this lady? Where is she from? You can tell by my accent that I'm from Yad.
Yes.
Of course.
I was born and grown in Montego Bay. Went to Montego Bay Infant Girls School and High School. From there to the University of the West Indies in Kingston, where I graduated with a medical degree and worked in several places in Cornwall Regional Hospital where I did my internship, and also in at the University Hospital where I was working in casualty, we call it, but here's the emergency room, and then in anesthesia. Then I went into the country. That I found was the most fulfilling part of my work, because I met, not that I didn't meet our Jamaicans in Kingston, but oh, I learned so much from those people in the country, and I like community medicine. So um, I got a fellowship from Pan American Health where I did a MPH in community international health, really, which is community medicine for, I guess, looking at developing countries and the problems we have and how to face them. So here I am, came to the US and did my residency at Brookdale Hospital. Most of us, you know that Brookdale is in part of East New York. A lot of our clientele were like looking like me, although we had a lot of Hispanics and a couple Caucasian, but a majority were from our people, and some from our country too, and from the West Indies. So I worked in both internal medicine and pediatrics. And then the interesting thing, which as an overlater today, is that I worked in the obesity clinic. We had one for adolescents, and I learned so much at that time. And which I'm looking back now as I look at the topic, and I realize that we have a lot of issues, from the West Indies, including Jamaica. So the topic today is looking at self-esteem, and wow, there are so many things that affect our self-esteem. And then the interesting thing is not only low self-esteem, you can have a high self-esteem too much to the point where you become like a braggart, and you become nobody wants to be around you because you are so demanding and arrogant, and you feel titled and so on. So there has to be a balance between this low feeling of not knowing who you are, you don't like yourself, you become a people pleaser, you feel as if you don't have little worth, you don't have much control over your life, and so on. So how did we get there? How come we as women will have low esteem? And let's look a little bit at our development. And it is said that by the time you're 3 or 4 years old, you have already started to develop your self-esteem. And of course, at that age, well, let's look at the normal family setting, you would be grown up in a family with mother, hopefully father. A lot of our African American families don't have their fathers there for so many different reasons, and we depend a lot on how we treated. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, if you're a little bit on the skinny side, you are always told, to use our Jamaican term, you're maga. Okay? And if you're big and fat, ooh, you look so nice. And therefore, there was the mentality that the bigger and fatter you are, the healthier you are, the more like you would be. And as I grew up and was doing medicine, oh no, not so fast. Big and fat is not necessarily healthy. And so, you would be told things like, let me talk a little bit about my experiences. I happen to have what we call knock knees. Okay, we'll forget the medical term. And I was always teased, oh, you're so awkward. Oh, why is it you always dropping things? You have knock knee. And of course, I used to be called Blackie Bo because I was the darkest one in my family, I think. And it's not my family who called me Blackie Bo, because my mother kept telling me that black is beautiful, okay? But when you went to school, and you had your other friends, they would call you Blackie Bo. And guess what? as I grew up and come to know about our roots, we're from West Africa, I realized that the Igbo tribe
Mm.
came out of Nigeria, in the what 17th, 18th century, and so Black Igbo meant that you were a black from the Igbo tribe. And
Mm.
surprisingly, my uncle told me that our great 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 grandfather was Igbo, came as a slave.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, that's what Black Igbo mean. So I remember my godmother would tell me, look, if they call you Black Igbo, just call them Red Igbo. So you had a
That's right.
answer for that one. But what
Mm.
I'm saying, I used to feel, oh my goodness, they don't like me because I'm too dark, and it all up through the line. Even when I was working here in America and other places, I was told by some people that you're too dark and so on. So by the time you're 3-4 years old and you're being told that you're not fat enough, or we get negative things thrown at you, your color, your ability to fit in. Do you have friends? Are you always fighting with your siblings? And unfortunately, as we grow up, we get negative things thrown at us. Now, our parents and grandparents, some of them did know better. They
Mm.
thought that if they told you all of these negative things, that you would correct it. But all that was doing is helping to build a negative self-esteem within you. So your parenting, how does your parent reinforce self-confidence? And later on we'll look at that. What can we do to help our children? What can we do to help ourselves with our own low self-esteem?
Wonderful.
And so that, as I said, is the environment, your family, and so on. So how do we? There are other things as we grow older that impact our self-esteem. And it is said that by the time you're about 10 or 11, already your self-esteem has been established. And as you grow older, there are other things that can impact on it, can make it maybe worse or better, depending on your circumstances, depending on what should I say now, the input or the feedback that you get from your peers, from others around you.
Mhm.
Okay, and as you get older, it is said that your self-esteem, even if it was normal, begins to decrease.
Mm.
All right, so let's look a little bit at some of the things that can affect your self-esteem. And we know that to be gainfully employed, hopefully it makes you feel good if you can take home a check, if you can look after your family, um, and if you can, do things to make yourself look nice. If you can go
Yeah.
to get your nails done, if you can go get your hair do, and so on and so forth. Those are some of the things. When we look in the mirror, we are going to say, okay, I like what I see, or I like what I do not see. Now, people with low self-esteem will be so dolled up, look so nice, look in the mirror. Oh, I wish I was looking a little better. I wish my nose wasn't so big. I
Mm.
wish my lip wasn't so fat. I wish I wasn't so big in size. I wish I was looking like a Barbie doll. And let me pause a little bit, because it is said that, remember, I worked in an obesity clinic with teens, okay? And part of the problem we find is that people, or whether mothers or fathers, would buy their kids. You remember that age when everybody would want to have a
Yeah.
Barbie doll?
Barbie.
And so the picture that we have our children feel, we should be fair, we should have long hair, we should look like Barbie, or at home we'll say Coca-Cola shape. Okay? Everybody wants to look like that. And then here now, you growing up like that, you playing with the Barbie doll, you wish you look like the Barbie, and then here comes your puberty. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was in school, all my friends who said, oh, my belly is so big. Because of course, as you grow, you're preparing to be pregnant and to have children. So you have fat being deposited around your abdomen, your butt, your hips, shape out, and your legs shape out, and so on. So this is where a lot of kids get into problems because you put on too much weight. And then with our diet that we have from the West Indies, well, let's talk about Jamaica. Maybe in some of our inner cities where there's a lot of fast foods, parents hustling to work, they don't have time to cook, so they pick up. Oh, I hope I don't get. Okay, they go to some fast food place. I won't call the names. Okay, you
Yeah.
know the ones that our
Yeah.
kids love. Oh, I want to go here, so I want to go there, so they want to get fries and chicken wings. And we had a problem because if you notice in our community, a lot of and I'm gonna call it some of the Chinese shops. Remember, when we talk to the kids in the obesity clinic, what do you like to eat? We get a feedback. Why are you overweight? What would you like to eat? And chicken wings and fries. Okay, and that's loaded with fats and a lot of carbs. And we find that when you look at the Chinese diet, they don't eat a lot of that. And as you walk into the shop, what do you want? Chicken wings and fries. Okay.
Yeah.
They're telling you, before you even ask. And so between the fast foods that we have in our community, now we're having this big problem with our young people, teenagers, young children who are becoming overweight and who developing all kind of complications, which not only affect the teens, but the adults as well. Because let me talk a little bit about, well, a little later, I'll talk about some of the complications, but I don't want to go off on that track, but let's look at some of the things. And I've been talking about diet,
Okay.
what we eat, what is convenient. We don't eat so much vegetables. And I found out that huh, a lot of us don't like vegetables, period. They say it's rabbit food. And so if you get vegetables, you push it to one side. You want the protein, you want the yam, you want the potato, you want the rice, and we love our rice and peas. Okay, and if it's Sunday dinner, we don't have rice and peas, we're not happy. Okay, and then the rice and peas is not just one spoonful. Wow, the plate is piled up high, and we put on whether fricassee chicken or baked chicken or whatever else we have. But where is the vegetables? We might have a little tossed salad if we're good, but all of the other vegetables that we are learning now that is so good to keep our weights down, we're not in there. So there's it. That's it. So let me back up again. It's
So,
what we
so Dr.
experience in our
So Dr.
environment.
Dr. Elaine, so
Yes,
give a pause a moment.
yes, ma'am.
I thank you for how you have really plunged into the topic because right away, everybody get the gist of our conversation this morning, and we could not have had it without you. I like the fact that you have made it so relatable because one, you're Jamaican, and two, you've had your own experiences. You talk about Black Igbo, some of us know about Red Igbo, and how we look in the mirror, because every time I look in the mirror I say, I wonder if it did come up like this little bit
And
more.
she cleared up that blackie ball pretty well for me.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
we do have our own idiosyncrasies. We do have things that we say, Lord, here's a could look so, here's a could look so, and whether it's here, the body image, and so on. So thank you. Before you continue, let's just hop on over because we do have an interactive moments with
Okay.
our viewing audience. So we'd like to welcome them this morning to the segment. Of course, where did we go wrong? Who fooled us up? Where that came from? That we don't look good the way we are. And if we're uncomfortable, then you're here to say, hey, maybe you should consider doing something differently. Do it this way. So let's quickly acknowledge Andrea. By the way, Dr. Elaine, Andrea is in Barbados. Yeah, so we
Okay.
want to say morning to Andrea. Ryan is one of our top viewers and supporters. So good morning, Ryan. Um, he says he's up in the room. Yes, we see you. Um, Also, we want to say happy Saturday to Charles E. She says, good morning, family. I'm back. It was so good to see the beautiful sunset again. Good to meet up with Sister Andrea. So she went to Barbados, and Tamika is in Jamaica. So she
Nice,
said,
nice.
top of the morning, morning, Tamika. And Herman is here. Good morning, Herman. She says, watching. Wonderful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Inside the Zone with Lady D. Denise Gomez. Again, our guest is Dr. Elaine Brown-Cameron, medical doctor, and she's also into it's public health, right, Doctor
Yes.
Elaine? Right. And we want to say that, you know, if you have young children close to you or your young adults, please have them sit in, because this is also very important and good nuggets for them to accept who they are,
Who they are?
you know, and to have that positive role image about themselves. So we are asking you to share the link with someone and let them know the show is on this morning. All right, you may continue, Dr. Elaine.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much,
You're
Lady
welcome.
D. Okay, so I was talking about some of the things that can impact our self, that will make us have a low self-esteem. Okay, so let's look a little bit, excuse me, as we grow older. I was talking about teenagers when puberty comes on and we start to put on weight, in the right places. The body is preparing itself for childbearing. And so, depending again on what you eat, whether you're sleeping well, whether you're doing enough exercise, you're going to load up a lot of that fat, not only in your muscle, but the interesting thing is with women, it is Women's Month, right?
Yes.
Most of the fat is deposited, guess where? Around your abdomen, and it
Yes.
can go in your butt as well and in your legs, your thighs. And the interesting thing is when we try to lose that weight, we do it so much easier than men who have their bare belly. We can get rid of the fat a little easier around the abdomen, but guess what? It's very difficult to get it off of our butt and legs. So, sometimes we're really so conscious
Mhm.
about that. So let's look again at some of the other things, as not only with puberty and the putting on of weight that occurs, and of course, the perception of who I am, what I want to look like, the movie stars, and I was talking about the Barbie doll as we were growing up, but
Mhm.
we look at people who model. Okay, we're trying to buy clothes and we look at the fashion magazines. Oh my, they look like they don't eat. They're on the walkway and they're strutting. You know what I mean? Wow. What happened? Do they eat? There's a show that I used to watch and I used to wonder, this lady has been on for years. And I'm saying, my. After all these years, she don't eat. She looks so skinny, you know and so we compare lowest self-esteem. We make you compare yourselves to these people. You think that is the ideal thing. Those are the people that are like, those are the people that get into the limelight,
Mhm.
and it has a negative effect on us if you don't really know who you are, if you
Yeah.
don't really have what we'd like to call, in quotation marks, good self-esteem. So those are the things that we're looking at around us. And then I'd like to talk about stress. Stress really helps us to put on, shouldn't say help, but okay, causes us to put on a lot of weight, because guess what? Stress releases a lot of hormones that makes us to absorb a lot of fat. I don't want to go into the medical part of it because I know that we're talking with people who are non-medical, but just understand that stress, it does a couple things. You can make you depressed, It makes you not sleep properly. It makes you not eat properly. And then with all of those hormones that are being released, and we're not getting rid of it, sometimes when people are stressed, they will eat a lot. You keep just sitting down and you nibbling on the wrong things. Like a cookie here, or really having big meals. You're having you like a cake, and if you can get hands on we like our West Indian food, okay? Toto and the drops and the greater cake, sugar. And we
Yeah.
like to drink a lot of juice and the sodium. We have in our coffee, we have to put in 4 teaspoons of sugar. Oh, I don't like it black. It got to be sweet. And we don't know that we're harming ourselves. All right. Lack of sleep also. And unfortunately, our economy is so much, especially in our minority populations, that we have to hustle. Some
Yeah.
people have to take 2, 3 jobs
Jobs,
to make
yes.
us make ends meet. So what? So where's the sleep? We don't get to rest properly. We have issues with our children. Let's look at the migration problem. Some parents come here, then later on they send for the children, or they have children here. There's nobody to babysit your kids. And so, as we used to call them, the lucky kids, they give them a key, and when they come home from school, they let themselves in. And those kids will be sitting and watching the whatever they're doing, whether TV shows, or they're looking at whatever they like. But guess what? They're snacking. They run to the fridge and they have some juice, and so on,
Can I
because
interject?
that is how they have been schooled. What we leave out for them to eat. Is it healthy food? Have they been exposed from they were small to healthy foods? Okay.
Yeah.
No, because we always run into the fast food. We don't have time. We're gonna pick up some fries and chicken, chips, whatever, or we buy the potato chips and all of those things. And, they get used to it. So when we're trying to change now, I don't want that. They don't want to eat that. Oh, I prefer if I have this and that. So,
Okay.
so there
So
is the stress and the problems that or we have when we're looking after our children, in terms of what we offer to them, what do we bring them up on. And some of us have been here, we came as children, and
Dr.
we've been
Elaine,
through that.
yes.
Okay?
Jackie wanted to say something because
Sure,
as
go ahead.
always, we make it as interactive so we can
Yeah.
ask.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my dear,
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
you made a point about the lucky kids,
Yes.
and that kind of rung a bell in my head because my son has suffered from being a little bit overweight, and it's very hard for him to lose weight. And I remember when I was in New York and I had to work 2 jobs, and I gave him a key. And I taught him how to get in, get home. But one thing I made sure I did was to make sure I cooked. So I left out his dinner or his food, whatever he needs to eat when he gets home. But the thing is, like you said, you cannot control the snacks from a distance. So, those were there for his comfort and to make sure that he if he wants a snack, he could get a snack. But the thing is, when you're at a distance working, there's no way that you can control how much of it they eat. And another thing that he was going through in the meantime that contributed to his weight gain was that he was being bullied at school.
Okay. Yes.
So when he comes home, and he wouldn't say much to me about it because he just said within himself that, they're kids, they're at school, and that's how kids are. But it took a toll on him, on his body, on his mental. I even had to put him in counseling for 2 years because of the bullying situation and the teasing about the weight. So I can identify with that portion of.
And also, Andrea says that, she has had small breasts. So she always had some, things centered around.
People tease you for every reason.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Let me tell you something. In school, kids can be very cruel. Because I remember
Yes.
when I was in school
They
too,
are.
because I was always, well, I'm still short. I was bullied because I'm short. I had very
Mm.
short hair. I was teased for that. Not to mention my
Mm.
breast. I'm a 44 cup right now. And I was teased. I remember there was a young man who used to sell stuff at the school, June plum and jelly and stuff. When during break time or recess, we go outside and buy. And I refused to buy anything from that man, even when I had money, because he always used to tease me as a girl. I was only 14, tease me, oh, your breast them
Mm.
so big, oh, your breast them so big. And I hated it. I wore skirt to school and a white top. And I would always carry my folder like this. My
Yeah.
folder was held to my chest like this all the time because it was a way of hiding my breast because I was just teased. And the thing about it, ladies, is that we have no control over stuff like that. If you have
Mhm.
big breasts, what are you going to do about it? They're big. If you're brown, you can't do anything. If you're dark, that's how you are. That's who you are. We can't change where we were born and how we look. So I don't see no reason why anyone should be teased for the way they look. It's just very silly, if you ask.
Yes, I agree. And for me, there is this guy in my community because I have wide forehead.
Mhm.
For a long time, I wouldn't comb my hair up and back because he used to, when he's passing my gate, he would say forehead. That was his,
Jesus.
yeah, that
Oh
was
my.
his name for me. Yes, that was his name for me. I'll not call his name here. But and I wouldn't comb my hair back. And I remember shortly before I started high school, a young lady in my community, Sheila, she had already started going to the same high school I did. And so I was going, it was registration day. And for some reason, I stood up before the mirror up in, we said my grandfather's room, daddy room. And I'm combing my hair and I pull it up. And I said, I saw like a different Denise. And I said, but this don't look bad to myself. And you remember you had your what they call it, the clip again that you put it in and hook it,
Yes.
Yeah.
whatever
The
that was
Comb
called,
clip.
home
bubbles.
clip,
Comb clip.
Bubbles.
home clip.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and I put it up, man, and brushed down my baby here. And it looked quite nice. And so after that, I would, because I used to sport the bangs. If I'm doing, you have your natural hair, you use your little sponge
Yeah.
setter and you roll the front. And so when you comb out here and catch up the back, there's always something happening here. I would cover it over. And it's
Yeah.
now, I'm like, I have the forehead already. What on earth am I going to do about that?
That's my point. That's my point. You can't do anything about it. You can't change it. It's yours.
Exactly. And like the doctor mentioned, the self-esteem issues with these young
Yes.
ladies nowadays. Everybody have hair way down in them back. And if a
Mhm.
good breeze blow it, blow off. You understand? It's not yours
Yeah.
because everybody wants to emulate all this falls baby hair coming
Yes.
down
Mhm.
and whatever. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
fake, overly fake. Some of them is just too much. I do understand that you have people who have had cancer and they have had chemo, and because
Right.
of that they've lost their hair, so they have to find alternative ways to make themselves feel good. My sister had a
Yes.
double mastectomy, but thank God she didn't have to do the chemo, so she didn't lose her hair because we were worried about that because she has long hair down her back. And but when you see some of these ladies, like Dr. mentioned, I think it begins from a young age. If you're not being told positive things at a young age, it's going to manifest later
Mhm.
into
Yeah.
negatives.
Yes, yes. Would
Absolutely.
like to welcome everyone to the show this morning. It's Saturday morning runnings. And of course, we're asking the question, where did we go wrong? Where did it all fall apart? I mean, somebody said something and it changed our perspective as we're
Everything.
saying about ourselves. And so Dr. Elaine is here with us this morning to say, hey,
Mhm.
these are the things that have happened, but I have some nuggets for you that can change the way you think because it's Women's History Month. And so that's a part of our history. Body image, what we look like, it has always been trailing us, trailing us. So we are just saying, if you at some point, Andrea mentioned small breasts. I know Andrea a long time. And yes, what she going to do about the breast? Stuff it up with tissue, you know.
Well, I know people have done that, you know.
And it will be your news.
Me didn't do it at one time. I don't know how me get so much now. It's like over the years it just came. At one time I had to resort to the tissue.
All righty. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. For those of you who are just joining and you're perhaps not too sure what this morning is all about, here we go.
It's the kickoff of Women's History Month. And Satideh Mawnin Runnings ask the question, where did we go wrong? Well, we may have the answers you seek. Dr. Elaine Brown-Cameron joins the crew to discuss women's insecurities, low self-esteem. Improper eating habits have us obsessively thinking about our bodies and appearance, causing us to put too much emphasis on our weight, shape, or size. But how does society see women in their roles and responsibilities in the home, church, work, school, and communities? Does our appearance detract from our competencies? Come on, women, let us not forget we are stronger together. A Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Come, make we talk.
Come make we talk indeed. And before you continue there, Dr. Elaine, I saw where where Gritley says that she wish she had a smaller foot size. So you
Well,
right?
you have company greatly.
So you do have, women who have they're wearing 11 and all them stuff. As a matter of fact, if somebody asks you, you say you wear 9 or 9.5, they start to say, and you're so small, or things like that. So
Yeah.
oh Lordy. Herman says that don't forget the gizzada when you were talking about the
Gizzada.
yes.
So I'm guilty of body dysmorphia for people's body dysmorphia. Because through me bake and all them stuff, the toto and the pudding and the cake and all.
Right. Yes. So, Dr. Elaine, you may continue, but we do have moments when we'd like to chime in and
Yes, I like that. I like that. And it's good
Yeah.
that you share your experiences. I was listening to Jackie and I identified that so much from our obesity clinic. A lot of
Mhm.
kids, they have emotional issues.
Yes.
Especially if you come from the West Indies and you're trying to fit.
Boys and girls, we must say, boys and girls, because some people, immediately think girls. Boys too.
Yes, I know. And
Yeah.
sometimes the girls may talk and sometimes the boys won't tell you. You just
Right.
observe their action and you're digging and trying to find out what's really going on. So, it really does affect all of us. So, I was talking about some of the issues that affect us as older people, as Jackie was saying, she had 2 jobs and she had a lucky kid. You're not the only one. A lot of us trying to make it here. And those are
I
some
was
of
doing
the...
it all by myself.
Pardon?
No, I said doing it all by myself. I had no choice.
Right. So no, don't feel guilty. This is what it is. But we're here today to see how we can help ourselves, because guess what? It has been said, our self-esteem affects our children, because they
Yes.
see how we see ourselves, what we say, things, little things that we drop, not only what we tell them, not only what we do to make them feel negative about themselves, but what we see and hear about ourselves. Okay, what we say and how we act, things that we do. All
Mhm.
right. I just want to mention one thing that affects our self-esteem. Not only ability to work and to earn enough, to take care of our kids. We come to the land of opportunity, or we're born here, and we'd like to have a house in the burbs. You want to move out of the inner city with all that it carries. And
Yeah.
there are good things that happen in our inner city. And sometimes I feel that we can be people of influence. Oh boy, here I go off on a tangent again. What can we do to make our inner city a little better? But a lot of us, we're moving up, to the east side. Remember old,
Right.
yeah, we want to have one of those nice apartments stay uptown or out in the burbs in Long Island, Queens, wherever. And we feel so we're working so hard. We're trying to save our money with all that comes with it. We have children we have to take care of. We'd like to see them through college, all of those things. And it can be really very stressful. And so to improve our self-esteem, later on I'm going to talk about some of the things that can help us to make our body look a bit better. Our perception of self, again, whether you're skinny or whether you are so-called fat, is affected a lot by how we see ourselves, how confident are we in what we have accomplished. So before I run on to things that we can do to make our self-image a little better, remember, I can't leave out relationships. You
Mhm.
know, some of us, our marriages don't go very well. Some of us have been in relationship and we think we're so much in love. And next thing we find out this guy's having two other girls, or they just walk out of your life and you become devastated. And what's wrong with me? And I tell you a story about somebody in the church where I was. I now live in North Carolina. I used to be in New Jersey. And there's a young girl, very beautiful, dresses very well. Oh, but she had a very big butt. She was really fat, and she was married to somebody from another African country. And she was devastated because she found out he had another relationship. And she was doing all kind of things to make herself look attractive to this man. And she felt, oh, he prefers this other woman because I'm too big and fat, or I don't know what else. And she would come crying to me. What can I do? I said, look, God loves you as you are. Your kid loves you. You have to look after your kids. And if he's going astray, don't think it has to do about you. Sometimes it has to be about the man was a wandering mind. And so we tend to self-hate, we tend to self-blame. Oh, something must be wrong. I need to lose some of this weight. I need to look prettier. I need to look like maybe whatever the race is gone through. You know what I mean? And we're changing the color of our hair, and we're trying to get Botox, to get rid of the wrinkles. We do lip reduction, we do facials. When I say facials, it's not just the makeup, no. We go and get surgical changes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
we think, oh,
Peels.
yes, we look
Peels.
good. Wow. And let me tell you something. People who are promoting their things, and I like to call them wicked. I'm sorry if they're listening. But they make it look as if, oh, if you are over a certain amount of weight, you can always go and get liposuction. That's to suck out the fat. Get rid of that belly. And you see all the pictures before and after.
Yeah.
And so we want the after. We
Mhm.
can't afford it and we try. And some people go, I would like to call it, some people have lost their lives going through back door. If
Yes.
you read the news, you know,
Yeah.
you have people from other countries who have had experience and they set up something in their home and they're going to try and get rid of the fat for you so that you will look better. And we get into all kind of problems, not only infection, but we lose our lives.
Yes.
And and so we're trying to look so much more attractive, okay. So I'm 40, I'm not married, so I got to catch a guy. You know, I have to have that, as I said, the Coca-Cola shape. And we have to, what do I have to do to make myself look attractive? And unfortunately, we don't even realize that men not really so much interested in the pretty looks, you know. When, okay, the pretty looks is the dating, but if they want a wife, they want somebody who is responsible, who is intelligent, and who is able to read, who reads, who understands politics. Okay, let me
Oh,
stop
yeah.
because we're going to start saying, oh my goodness, I don't do any of those things. Okay, but those are some of the things that men
No,
are
how about we
looking
do
for.
all that and it's still not enough? Still looking for the Coca-Cola bottle.
Yes, I'm telling you, you know, and sometimes because you know, I'm a Christian. And the other day I was reading in the scripture in Proverbs where it says that like a jewel in the snout of a swine is a woman without discretion. What a comparison. So we
Yes.
can have the Coca-Cola shape, we can look pretty, and we're stupid. When we open our mouths, we don't know, we're not saying the right things. We don't know when to be
Uh-huh.
quiet. We don't know when to speak up. We don't know when to say positive things, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to start looking. I know I don't want to take up too much more time, so I'm going to run on. Apart from that story about relationships that devastate us, you know, when the relationships break up and some people turn to eating, overeating, and all of these things, and so on. And so we turn to okay. Before I come to the correction, there's something that's very important, not only in teenagers but in adults too, and it's called eating disorders. And it has to
Yes,
do
anorexia,
with
bulimia,
your,
all that.
that's right, with your perception of self,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And anorexia is people who refuse to eat, or they eat just a very small amount. They become underweight, less than 65% of the ideal weight of what they should have. So, what is my ideal weight? I guess you're probably saying, okay, don't get distressed now. But we usually say that for women, if you depending on your height,
The
okay.
height.
Say
Yes.
right now I am 5'6", 5 feet 6 inches. Okay. So for the first 5 feet, you should weigh 100 pounds. And for each inch over, you add on 5 pounds. Now, if you have big bones, you know, you come from a family with big bones, sometimes you can add an extra 10 pounds. So we have a thing called the BMI. The BMI is your body mass index. In
Mass
other words, the
index.
amount of weight that you have for your height. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you are 5 feet and you weigh 200 pounds, may the Lord help you because you're obese. You're a whole lot much
Yes.
more. You're 100 pounds much more than what your ideal weight should be. Okay. And so, if you have an idea of how much you should weigh, you could try and keep within that figure. So we talk about mild obesity, moderate obesity, and gross obesity if you're more than 100 pounds over than what you're supposed to be. Why am I going into all of that? Because of the complications. Okay, if you are obese and they found that if you're a young person, say in your 20s, 30s, and you have moderate obesity, in other words, your BMI is about say 27 or more. Okay, I'm throwing medical things at you now. Let me do it into weight. Um, let me see now. If you're say 5 feet, you should be like 100 pounds, 104 pounds, and so on. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are weighing like 130, 100, that's too much. And there's a risk of cardiac disease, of
Yes.
getting heart disease, not only heart failure, but also with all that fat that the body is absorbing and depositing, it blocks your arteries, you get coronary artery disease. That stress also
Mm-hmm.
adds to that. Okay, we don't have time to exercise. We just reach home in time to drop in the bed. Okay, I used to work in New York. Here. I used to live in Jersey, and let me tell you, sometimes I am reaching home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up by 6 If I'm not driving, I'm catching the 7 o'clock train so I can reach work by 9 o'clock and so on. And it's like, hustle, hustle, hustle. When do I exercise? And I would say, okay, when I'm running up the steps to catch the subway. Oh my God. But there's still,
A lot of people use that excuse, the amount of stairs I
That's
have
their
to do.
exercise.
Yes. All right, she'll
Oh,
be back.
we lost her.
Yeah, she'll
Okay.
be back. But it's true.
But
Sometimes
yes,
you could say that to people and they're like, Mrs., the amount of stairs when we have to climb every day, that is not exercise.
That's not enough. No.
No, that is a part of your
You
job
do
where you have
burn
to go
some. You
from
do
one
burn
place
something,
to
but
the
it's not
next.
enough.
that is a
No.
part of your stress.
Climbing up the steps, right?
I'm telling you,
Run.
I'm trying to balance work with church and with home and so on. My husband doesn't cook. So sometimes when I'm home at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm making sure to cook so he has lunch to take to work. It was something else. So I understand. I've been there, and so the only good thing is that when I was at work, especially when I was working in the hospital, I would carry my lunch and I would have lunch at 5 o'clock when I was done. Going to the clinics out in East New York and coming have to do the rounds. I was supervising the residents and so on. So it's only at 4 o'clock or 5 when we've turned over to the team that's on emergency room that I sit down to have lunch. So you know that my weight was not really adequate. Okay, until after I left that job, then I started to put on a lot of weight. So we're talking about heart disease, we're talking about diabetes, which if you really,
Hypertension, silent
yeah,
killer.
trust me. And trust me, the stress, the overweight, not to mention the knees. If you're overweight for too long, and especially if you're on your legs a lot, you're wearing out the pads around your knee joint. Why so many people having arthritis and happen, or they have to do knee replacement and so on. So all of those things affect us, from not eating properly, not getting enough rest and so on. So what can we do? I haven't gone into all, but those are the big ones. And if you're overweight, and if you have diabetes, you have hypertension, we're hitting the heart, we're hitting the eyes, we're hitting the kidneys. Oh my goodness. And we
Yeah.
want to live to see our grandchildren and great grandchildren. And then suddenly you're faced with having had a heart attack, you're faced with high blood pressure. And if you're from the West Indies, oh, I don't like to take so much tablets for the rest of my life. Do I have to keep on at this? Oh, let me try the coconut water and lime juice. Let me try all of those herbal remedies that our parents used to have. Okay, I'm not
My
picking
sister
up
Shirley, when
because
I hear said, no, man, from we start.
there are some herbal
That's my
medicines.
sister. I'm listening.
There are some
But I got
herbal
on this
medicines.
from I'm absorbing like a sponge over here.
But
There are
doctor,
some
I'd
herbal
like
remedies.
to I'd like
Okay.
to hear you touch on something apart from those
Yes.
health issues.
Yes.
I'd like you to touch on the subject of abuse, because right now I'm doing a course in my nursing program. I'm at psych, and
Oh,
even last night I was up until late, and I was doing questions on abuse, like spousal abuse, intimate violence, intimate partner violence,
yes.
and stuff like that. Especially in these younger people, I find that they're experiencing a lot of that.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's an area of your expertise, but if you could just elaborate a little bit on that.
No, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I
No, I
understand
know.
very well.
Right.
And let me tell
Because
you.
dealing with the adolescents,
Yes.
what have
Yes.
you seen in that community where that is
Yes.
concerned?
Well, I'm thinking I was the adolescent fellow. Fellow just means that you're above, you finish your residency and you're doing a subspecialty. I was in adolescent, so I
Okay.
used to have to interview a lot of those teens.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think. Abuse in terms of spousal abuse, I didn't see much of that. I saw a lot of
Okay.
drug use, alcohol use, going to parties involved in gangs. That's
Wow.
a lot too. And part of the problem of low self-esteem is that you'll be in a relationship where you're being abused, and why don't you leave? because you feel so poorly about yourself. And in Jamaica, I don't know about the other islands, they said if you don't beat me, you don't love me. And
Yes.
that has been passed down. Trust me, it has been passed down from generation to
Slavery.
generation.
Slavery.
Yes,
Generations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that staying in an abusive relationship, fear of, and they threaten you. If you ever talk, if you ever go to the police, I'm gonna kill you. And people are cowering in fear. They don't want to leave out of that relationship. But I'm glad that there are groups that offer solitude and refuge for women
Yes.
who are being abused, And
Yeah.
if you notice, there's a young teacher that was killed just like a couple weeks ago over in I think Eastern New Jersey. She was separated, and it's in the news all the time. They have an order of protection against their abusive partner, and guess what?
Yeah.
They get killed. They get
Yeah.
killed. They trail them outside, or they break
Yeah.
into the
Some
house.
of them.
So there's that fear. People look at that and there's that fear. Oh, I can't leave. I have to stay and take it. So Jackie, you maybe you could talk a little bit. I don't know if you are aware, or if when you talk to these ladies, and of course, trust me, spousal abuse is not just women. Some women
No.
will beat that man, trust me. And then there's
No.
not only physical abuse, there is
Yes.
verbal abuse
Verbal
that
and
lowers our
psychological abuse is
self-esteem.
even worse.
Oh my God. So we really have to be strong. We get there
Yeah.
by all of these things. But how can we strengthen or lift up ourselves out of self-esteem, of being a people pleaser, of not setting up borders, or how far people can come and not so far. How can we love ourselves, so to
Love
speak?
ourselves.
And if you don't love yourself, you can't love others.
Yeah.
Okay?
True.
So
Absolutely.
some of the things I was talking about that affect our self-image, like the eating, diet is important. And I'm not talking diet to lose weight, diet in eating properly. Because when we go into doing diet to lose weight, not everybody stick on it, because sometimes the food is so black. Some people they cut out the carbs completely, which is not healthy. So it's a little bit of everything, and it's eating more vegetables, and the right vegetables too,
The right
and
ones. Yeah.
cutting out the sweet stuff. Uh, no, maybe we let me just say now that, having said that fruits and vegetables, you've heard about the Mediterranean diet, okay? That people who live in the Mediterranean region, they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and also the oils. We love our gravy so much. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. So you go to buy your food and they're giving it, no, put on some more gravy there. And sometimes you don't know. We
Right,
don't
and
know.
it has become a thing. You go to the restaurant and they're saying, I hear them asking, oxtail gravy, and I'm like, you
Yes.
specialize in which
Guilty.
gravy?
That's
Yeah, oh
Guilty.
yeah, that is a big thing.
Yes.
And it
People
has
It's
like
in
a
a
big
lot of
thing.
fat. It has in
Yeah,
a lot. Trust me, some of the foods that we love not good for us. And so
No.
they say that if you use more like olive oil, extra virgin olive oil,
Yes. Olive
not
oil.
too much. Yes, that's from the Mediterranean area too. That is a healthier oil. And then our coconut oil going back and forth. First they say, oh, it's not good. Now they're saying, yes,
it's the
it has some amino acids that are good for you. So I'm coming to the conclusion that is moderation in
Yes.
all
Yes.
this.
Everything in moderation.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember
Moderation.
when I used to go spend time with my grandmother. Oh, grandmama would grate that coconut, and she would have the oil and she put the annatto in there. Okay. You
I
all
used to
don't
have to.
know this thing.
Um,
You all too young. You
yeah.
don't know this thing.
No, I know.
And
Yeah.
when you pour it
I
over
want to
that
go to the
boiled
doctor.
banana and the dumpling, ooh, nothing like
Yes.
that.
And the custard from the coconut oil when she
Oh,
cook it
please,
down.
run
That's
down, man, run down.
yes, man.
But you know the good thing, and while I'm talking about that, and I'm jumping all over the place, but let's talk about meats versus the fish. Fish is supposed to be good and much better than too much meat, and white meat is better. And we love the chicken skin. Oh my God. Look here, take off the skin and get rid of the fat underneath it. And we usually tell the parents in the obesity clinic, once you take off the skin and get that fat out, and then you season the meat, you will still have the good taste. But we have grown to just cut the meat, season it up, fry it or whatever. Usually fry it or fricassee it. In those days, we never have much in the way of oven. Now we have oven here, so we can bake, you
Air
know.
fryer.
And if you steam the food, if you just put a little water on it and steam the food, don't bother put on the butter and the margarine. Margarine is deadly. I'm sorry for those who make margarine, but it will clog your heart so fast, you know. So be careful in terms of that. So we're talking about white meat, the fish, the vegetables and the fruits. And the fruits has got some the sugars in the fruits also help you to lose your weight. Okay, so if you're thinking about doing bypass surgery, if you think you're grossly obese, and sometimes some medical personnel will recommend that you go and do bypass surgery. What is bypass surgery? Bypass surgery, the surgeon goes in and he either bands the stomach and leave a little pouch so that by the time you start to eat, you feel full and you don't want to eat anything anymore. Or you do bypass surgery. They move the food so it don't go through the stomach and it ends up in your in your jejunum. And
Duodenum.
they don't
Duodenum.
do that
Yeah.
no more.
So
Yes.
it's like dumping.
Yes, or they put it in a little, they cut off, not really cut, yes, some of them really cut off part of the stomach so that it is smaller. But listen, a lot of it is fraught with complications. And some
Yeah,
people
especially
lose,
that one.
they will lose a lot of weight, 100 pounds, 150 pounds. But guess what? Sometimes the diet has not changed. So they eat the wrong thing still. And so they start to put on weight again. So before we start to think about surgical intervention, it can work. What I'm going to tell you in terms of watching your diet, in terms of what you're going to eat, how often you're going to eat, how late you're going to eat. Oh, Lord, help us. Those who come home late from work and we have a big plate of food and we go to sleep and we're
Oh,
not,
those who
work, we're
study
not,
late
we're
at
not,
night.
we're not working
Those
off
who
that
study late
food.
at night.
Yes, we're not working off that food, like when you eat your biggest meal, you have the biggest meal at breakfast, then you have a medium meal at lunch, and a little bit at night. Oh, it's so hard. I'm trying to change those guys. Trust me. I've been there. So, we need to look at how we eat, what we eat, and then not only that, how do we get rid of the stress? And I'm coming now on to exercise. Oh, I can't afford to go to the gym. I know people who pay for the gym for the whole year, they never reach. I know I have a friend who has exercise equipment in the garage. Oh, I never hardly ever use that. So it has to be a discipline. And let me share my story. Um, I should have known better. I haven't worked for a couple years, and so I was eating a lot of the wrong things, okay? And then because of a medication that I got for my hypertension, which runs in my family a lot, and one of them will cause my sugar to go up and up. And my doctor kept telling me, oh, you need to exercise and you need to lose some weight. No, my ideal weight should be about 130 something. Listen, I was like 160, 170, 180, and I hit the 190. And the
Wow.
next thing I know, I was drinking a lot, peeing a lot. For you who don't know some of the symptoms of diabetes.
Yes.
And I was saying, oh, I'm so thirsty. And guess what I was using? Coconut water. And I was buying some of these carrot juice and stuff, which was no help. Until I went for a physical, only to find out that my sugar was so high, I was admitted to hospital.
Carrot juice has a lot of sugar.
Yes, So when I said no, I don't want that, because when the sugar goes up, it gets into every cell in your body. It affects your brain. And I
Yeah.
think that is why I can't remember some things apart from the age. So, and I decided it has to come down. So guess what now? This is June when it is so hot outside. I said, there's no way. I cannot. It was like a weekend. I was in the hospital, and they put me on medication. And I said, there's no way I can go out in that heat. I'm not going out in that heat to exercise. So my friend says, you can walk on the spot. So she sent me a YouTube thing on walking on the spot, and I look at it. I was so weak. I could only do 5 minutes. And then right now I'm up to 25 and 30 minutes. I still not walking outside. Okay. But I walk inside my house and I exercise. And you know something? I've lost 30 pounds.
No.
And my sugar just came
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
Boom.
Yes.
Yes. And let me tell you, I'm not going back there. I'm not going back there. I keep telling doctor I want to come off of this medication. 'Cause every medication has got side effects. You know that. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And then the other thing that affects your size now is sleep. Lack of sleep will increase the hormones that make you deposit fat. So if you know that you need 6 hours,
Endorphins.
7 hours, 8 hours of sleep, oh my goodness, how are we gonna get it in? But we have to plan it out, because we're talking about getting to the ideal from where we are. Okay, so we're talking about the obesity and the weight and not having to do surgery and so on and so forth. What about when we look in the mirror and what we see? How are we gonna change those things? What about the negative things that's ringing in our ears? What ex-spouses and ex-boyfriends have said, of what friends have said, of what we heard when we were growing up. It's when those negative things come in, and I'm talking now to older people. As we're getting older, we look and we see the wrinkles and we say, oh, I'm getting older, I don't need to do anything about this weight. We're having knee pains and all of that story. We need to look and say, I am who I am. I know that I'm from the old school, but you remember in the 60s and 70s, I'm black and I'm proud.
Yes.
When we
Yes.
really started to change our
Mhm.
acceptance of self. It doesn't matter
Yes.
if you're black. And we had the big afro.
With
Yes.
the soul's comb in it.
You see the lady behind me here.
Yes.
Her afro.
That did a lot for our self-image, but it looked like we're going back to the other part of the pendulum. So we need to keep that in front of us. When we look in the mirror and we say, oh my God, I'm getting old, look at that. I have to do something about these wrinkles and so on. But when we wear it with elegance and with pride, it's what's on the inside. It's not
Yes.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
out on the outside. So we
Yeah.
need to look
Absolutely.
and say, it is what it is. I might be a dark-skinned person. What have I accomplished? Look at what you have accomplished through life. Sometimes I look and I said, oh my God. When I look at my what is it now? My peers who were in my class together, I said, they are doing so well. But then when you look back and see, I went to community medicine, didn't pay much. But when I look on the influence that I had talking to patients, telling them that you
Yes.
need to keep on your pressure medicine, you need to talk to your children, make sure that you eat properly and so on. And I said, at least I've done something to help. I've done something to help our people. And so look back at what you have accomplished. Some of us have had degrees, you might have bachelor's, master's, even doctorates, and yet we have a low self-esteem because we're not where we want to go. All right. So I'm going to sort of ease up a little bit and let's get some feedback if you don't mind, Lady D. If you
Yeah.
have any questions or anything, I've been talking too much. I always like to talk and then get feedback
Yes.
from
So,
the rest of us so we can share.
okay. So recently, a friend of mine, his wife had done the lipo. She said that she had looked on herself and figured, too much was going on there. So she had it done. Unfortunately, she picked up an infection.
Oh my.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a bad infection. And
Mhm.
she was in the hospital like for about 6 months.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Wow. That's
Yes.
major.
From a lipo?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and we've also seen videos where people have done the butt transplant and all those things, which have gone horribly bad,
Wrong. Mm-hmm.
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
May I share just a little bit of something, as you touch on that, Lady D? I don't know if you remember me telling you that I have a niece that lost her life.
Yes.
And it
Oh
was because
yeah.
of that.
Oh
Because of
man.
that. When I came up to
Man.
New York in 2021, it was to bury her.
Oh man.
She has never felt good about the way she looked. She always thought that she was too dark. And whenever she would talk to us, like she should see me. And I saw her the December before, because she had Christmas dinner with me. And she would say, "She's so pretty," and I said, "How about you? Look at your pretty dark skin," but she was battling with that down inside. She never grew up with me, but she was battling with that down inside, and she went and found somebody to sculpt her body, and
Oh my goodness.
she didn't feel that it was done right. And I think they told her that she had to wait for a little bit, and she went back to have it corrected. The man knew that he didn't do it right or whatever. She went back to have it corrected, and she didn't give herself enough time. She was on the treadmill. She wasn't eating properly, and next thing you knew, she just passed out. She was in the hospital at Einstein Hospital, and then she went into a coma, and she never recovered.
Yeah.
So
Time.
and she left her young child who is autistic, and her husband,
Oh no.
and us.
Mm.
I always tell young people, right after that, I went to Long Island to a party, and there were a lot of young people there, and I asked them just to give me the mic for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Because I felt compelled that day just to give me the mic for 5 minutes. And little did I know that when I was finished talking to them about what happened, and it was, a lot of young people there, one of my friends came to me and she said, "Thank you," because they didn't know what I was going to say. I just asked them for the mic. And she said, "Thank you," because they pointed to a young lady who was contemplating doing the same thing.
Oh my goodness.
And she told them she was glad she heard what I said.
Yes.
So,
And
we just have to look out for them, young people.
and the glamorous messages that goes out to us, whether it's by way of a cover of a magazine, or in a certain circle that you are associated with, because sometimes you want to connect yourself to people who you think are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's by the way they look, whether it's the network that they're a part of, you want to fit in. But while you're doing that, you realize, oh, but I'm still falling short. There's something I'm still not able to measure up. I can't measure up. And so some people find themselves in, really, really a really dark place, because they're like, here I am in this society. Why can't I? I have this, I have that. Some
They're
people
trying to measure up with the Joneses.
even go as far as to get a degree or a PhD to fit in.
To fit in, yes.
To
And
fit
there's
in.
one little nugget I want to share, one little quick story. I remember growing up in my district. This is a family member too, one of my uncle's wife. She would always say negative snap at what you heard as a child, and that's when you're able to piece it together. But she always tell her daughters, "You're ugly like. Your man not gonna want you." She always said negative things. You're ugly. And even in school, teachers would say to students, "You're dunce." I wasn't a strong person. I wasn't great at numbers. And I remember my teacher, a particular teacher, who I love, still alive, very sick now and old. But she know that I was weak in math, always weak with numbers. And she had to give me extra time and spend extra time with me to teach me mathematics or algebra, whatever it was. But she would always put me down because I was low on math. Every subject else I excelled in except for numbers. I could not excel in numbers because it was just not my strong point even today. And now I wrote a book, and one of my sister-in-law and her goes to the same church, and my sister-in-law, they happen to be talking, and the day she discovered that I'm married to her or to my sister-in-law's brother. So the conversation went on, and she found out that my sister-in-law has a book that I wrote, and she took the book away, and she's so proud of me, and she boasts about me being able to write and publish a book.
Oh boy.
Yet this was the same teacher that put me down because I was not good at math. I'm saying this to say that when we have our daughters and our sons, we should praise them, whatever they're strong on. You should praise them and encourage them. Don't tell them that they're ugly and they're black and they're this and they're that. Point out
the big and fat, like, you know, that kind of talk.
Right. We should never ever go down that road. Show the positive. Or even husbands to wives. Tell your wife you look nice. Don't tell them, oh, you're fatty. Don't ever do that. We have to
or that don't fit, you go take it off.
Yes, that don't fit, look good.
No, but telling somebody they're fat used to be a compliment. Because they used to be a fat and nice.
Rose.
Yes. They tell you you're fat and nice.
You're rosy.
Your step strongy.
Are you rosy? Exactly.
You're rosy.
You might see it. Step strongy.
We have to point out the positive. We should always show the
Yes.
It's more encouraging.
And you know, it really helps when we especially, it is said that every child is known by, in other words, they're different. If you look at your siblings, everybody different. One is quiet, one is very assertive, the other one has this gift to do this and that and the other. And sometimes as parents, why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you? So pick out what child has.
Thank the Lord for my mother. My mother have 11 of us. And the other day somebody asked her who was the favorite. My mother said, I never had a favorite.
Very good, very good.
Said, I don't have a favorite, and people ask us how we're so close, but it's, you know, it's the onus is on how she raised us and how she always hugged us whenever we greet each other. Now we can greet each other all the time with a kiss and a hug. That's how, and she always call me sweet pea. And I said, why my mother always call me sweet pea? Me no peas. Only when me grew up, me realize a sweet name. My mother call me sweet pea. Me sweet. You understand? So you can't tell me nothing else because me sweet.
Yeah.
And what I want to say,
I'm used to hearing that.
Even if you have your kids and you have a favorite, you shouldn't show it or tell it. Because
That's
in your
right,
mind, you probably will think differently about one of your kids, but you shouldn't show it and you shouldn't tell it, because once they know that, that's when hell broke loose.
And trust me, and kids internalize that. They can see which one you prefer. You know what I mean? My mother used to sew our clothes, and then the sister that followed me, she always said, "Oh, your back is so long. I don't know how I'm going to make this dress fit you. Look how your sister is. Look how it fits on her." And you know something? She usually make the same style for both of us. I refused. I didn't want to wear the same clothes. And as I got older, when I was in medical school and did psychology, I realized, why is it that I did not want to wear the same clothes? Because I was always being compared to my sister as to how her clothes fit so well on her and mine didn't fit as well, you know. And so we have to be careful what we say to our kids, you know, and we have to talk to ourselves and say, okay, I am somebody, this is who I am, this is how I have been made, this is what I can do. Sometimes we have the gifts, and we talk about being involved in church and in our community. We have something, we can come to the table with something. We can have something, we can offer something. We can help to teach Sunday school. We have community groups, you can get involved. And guess what? We in our setting where we are, we know that there are a lot of children who have negative self-esteem, and we can help them by telling them who they are, what they can accomplish. Tell them of their generation way back, of what they have accomplished. I'm so proud of all of us, not just Jamaicans, but West Indians and African Americans, of things that we have accomplished in this country. It's hidden, but sometimes we just had, February was African American month, and I've learned so much of what our people have done. And we, we, we,
Yes.
need, we need to reinforce it. Let our children
And
know,
have
no, we're not
accomplished,
dumb. We're not
especially
dumber than
women.
them. Yeah, they try
Right.
to make out that you're so dumb. We are somebody. We have
Mhm.
accomplished things, and I can do it too.
That's
We
right.
need to tell them, you can do it too.
Mm.
And when you have that inculcated in our children, they will reach for the stars. You might not reach for the stars, you might just reach the treetops, but you tell them, aim for the sky. And you can reach the stars, you can reach the moon. Look at so and so. Look at this guy who made so many things out of peanuts. Look at all of
Yes.
these equipment. And I tell you a story. I know time is going, but I tell you a story about this. Oh God, I should have looked up his name. But he was like a surgical assistant at Johns Hopkins
Yes.
University
I remember.
Hospital. Yes, and there is
Dr.
a pardon?
Bill, but I remember who you're talking. I know who you're talking.
Okay, there was one also who was a neurosurgeon. I'm not talking Ben Carson. I'm not talking about Ben.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no.
but there
I
is
know which one
another
you're talking.
person who was a surgical associate, and there's
Yeah.
a cardiac condition, a congenital cardiac condition that children are born with, where if you don't correct it, the child mightn't live very long. And guess
And
what?
it was the dog.
Who did the Blaylock shunt, where they could get the blood circulating from the
From the
from one
coronary
side of the
artery.
heart to the other. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to give out the names unless you say, oh, I don't need those big words. Okay, but he corrected it. Guess what? He was the surgical assistant, but it got the surgeon's name
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because the surgeon was
he
the one.
practiced on the dog.
Yes, he was
It
the
was a
one
dog.
who found out that you could do that and make
Yes.
children live. But a lot of people don't know that. But guess
But
what? He was
he
just,
didn't even get the credit for it at
yes, no,
first.
they're doing that
It
now.
was
Johns
the
Hopkins
doctor who he was
just
working with
yes.
who got the
I get
credit.
the Johns Hopkins magazine, and they just did an article where they praised him. So,
Yeah.
Yes, and his picture is now in the hallway.
okay. So we have
Yeah.
people, we're not dumb. They tell us that we're dumb. Just lick it back and say we're not dumb. We have done X, Y, Z, and I can do it too.
Absolutely.
So we're wrapping up in a few minutes, but I think this was really good. Dr. Elaine, why did you decide to go into medicine?
Medicine.
Yeah.
Oh boy, let me give it shortly. I have an older brother who went to Cornwall College, and he was my favorite brother, and we would sit down and talk. And was saying that he was going to do medicine, and I said I want to do medicine too. He did medicine, and he's
Dr.
now
Thomas, Dr. Vivian Thomas.
he's practicing in Black River, St. Elizabeth.
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
He
talking
should
about the
retire
doctor.
by this. He's old enough to retire. But I had that. But I tell you a story about my mother. My mother has a whole lot to do with my self-esteem, although I have issues in some things. My sister was sick in the hospital, and this is the old St. James Hospital now, and they wouldn't allow children to go into the ward. So mommy said, come with me, and I went with her. We went to where my sister was, and I couldn't go inside. So I was standing out, and they had like a veranda, and I was standing out there on the porch. I'm using the Jamaican term. I was standing out on the porch, and then the pediatric wing was across the courtyard, and I was looking over onto the other side where the big building was. And there were some patients upstairs that were sitting on the outside. And I saw this doctor who was as dark as me come out in her lab coat, and she was talking to the patients. And I was wondering, oh my God, that's a black female doctor. And then my mother came out and saw me looking. And you know what my mother said to me? When you grow up, you're going to be a doctor like her. And I never forgot that. My mother died, pardon me. My mother died when I was in high school. I was 14 years old. And that dream has been in my head with all the difficulties. It was 8 of us. My brother was in med school in Ireland. I was the oldest girl at home. Oh Lord, a lot of things fell on my shoulder. I had to help look after my younger brothers and sisters. I had to wash. Well, my mother taught us how to wash and to clean, but to take it on, it was too much. But at the back of my head, I'm going to do medicine. So in high school, when all of the girls were going, oh, you're not going to university, we're doing the entrance exam. I run and do the entrance exam too. Guess what? I got accepted. No money. My father keep telling me, we don't have enough money, your mother died, blah, 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 blah. So I went to Daddy and I said, I got a place at the university. He said, I told you. But anyhow, long story short, I went and by this time my brother was home and he was working in Spanish Town and so on. And he went and spoke to my father. And between the two of them, they paid for me until near finals. I went and I applied for a revolving loan.
Okay.
They had made that available. Sorry. And that's how I finished. And I graduated. And I said, my mother never saw it, but she planted something in me that reinforced that you can be like that. And guess what? Guess what is the story? And I finished. When I did my internship, this time now, they moved from St. James Hospital to the big old Cornwall Regional Hospital. And I went there. Guess who I worked with? The same doctor that I saw as a little girl. She was an obstetrician, yes. I'll not forget. That was the doctor that I saw that was talking to those mothers up there on the building. So God is good. And if you have that in your head, it might take you longer than some people, but keep it in your head. You can be somebody. I am somebody, and I can by whatever means. Don't try wrong means now, but use the right means and the opportunities. Jump at the opportunities that come to make you be a better person, and use it to help your sisters up. We look around and we see people who don't think much about themselves, and sometimes we can't tell them you have low self-esteem. No. You notice it and you can help them out to dress better. But you teach very well. Can't you just help? You have grown children. You have experience. Help us.
Yes.
Use what you
And
have.
so we appreciate you sharing that, because the question then, where did we go wrong? It's now time for us to change.
Yes.
Change that message. Change the way in which we speak to people. And say, hey, get up, man. Stop thinking about yourself negatively. Sometimes you hear some people talking and you're like, oh dear Lord, how can I help you? Because there's always just a negative trend of thought, and by way of experiences for many. But if you settle right there, you have to keep pulling yourself up. You have to keep pulling yourself up. It's Women's History Month, and our history has taught us that we're not good enough. But it's now time for us to change.
Yes.
Absolutely. We want to thank you, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Elaine. Yes, when you talk, you hear names going around. Want to thank Dr. Elaine Brown-Cameron for joining us this morning here on Satideh Morning.
Such a lively conversation. Look like it needed a part 2 or something.
Yeah, we can always piggyback on some other area.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
We have the whole month. Yes, we thank you so much. So, Sharon, what you up to? Because we didn't hear much from you.
I know.
It's one of those days. I was on something before, and I'm kind of tired from the previous engagement. But this was great. Thank you so much, Elaine. Mwah, mwah.
Love you too, baby.
And as women, we are buffeted here and there by many obstacles, but we have to remain resilient, and by the help of God, we forge forward. We get knocked down, we come back up, we get lemons, we make lemonade, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I never had a body image issue growing up as a child, but I was always told that I was shy, and not in a nice way. Yeah, yeah. That is why I endeavor. I am not scared of any platform, thank God. I endeavor. And in my little self, I didn't have anybody to prod me and poke me, but my grandmother who raised me had a very, very, very good friend who always said to me, you're too dark. Not dark meaning I'm dark skinned. I'm dark skinned.
Mentally.
She used to say, because she lived at the crossroad, and that's where like 4 roads met there. And she used to, send for the newspaper and, want everybody to read and all of that stuff. And, I could read, I had no issues, but I would read in a very low tone because I didn't want to read for her because she had 300 granddaughters who could do it. And, she would say, you're too dark. You're too dark. I come to not, you're too dark. You
See?
can't even talk. And in my little self, I said in my little heart, I said, I'm going to show you.
Yes.
Just like that. I said, I'm going to show, because I knew I was not, but, that was something that was always embedded in the back of my mind. That is why, if I'm called upon to do anything or to speak or to whatever, I have no fear. I just do it because I wanted to show her that I could do it and not live up to what she was trying to put on me, but
Yes.
here we are.
There you go. Well, I know that there's, if anybody can say, oh, I didn't have that, where people either teased you for whatever reason or some kind of verbal attack on you to make you feel less than. Because some people don't get over it, they may not talk about it and it's sitting there. You never shared it or anything. But at some point, if you're triggered, it will bust out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will come out if you're triggered.
Yeah.
If you're triggered, it will come out. So thanks to everyone, Dr. Elaine. We appreciate you. Thank you. Max, Sharns, and of course, Jax. Jen couldn't be with us this morning, but we're hoping that next week she'll be able to join us.
Lady D, Andrea didn't tell me how she wanted to get her cake. Remember, somebody won the cake last week, so Andrea won the cake. Okay. And I didn't hear from her, so I don't know.
All right, so we'll do that offline. Yeah, we'll do that offline and get the information to you. But thanks to everyone for being here. There's Norma Perry. Hey, Norma.
That's my friend Norma. Hey, Norma.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Norma. Welcome.
Welcome, Norma.
Norma comes in here and here. No one then. Here and there.
Here and there.
Yes.
Same term we use so well. All righty. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. And of course, you'll see the promo coming up for the next show next week, Saturday morning. At Satideh Mawnin Runnings. We there. Have a good weekend.
Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good week. Bless you.
Blessings.
Right.
Hi, I'm Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing. Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. It's the kickoff of Women's History Month. And Satideh Mawnin Runnings ask the question, where did we go wrong? Well, we may have the answers you seek. Dr. Elaine Brown-Cameron joins the crew to discuss women's insecurities, low self-esteem. Improper eating habits have us obsessively thinking about our bodies and appearance, causing us to put too much emphasis on our weight, shape, or size. But how does society see women in their roles and responsibilities in the home, church, work, school, and communities? Does our appearance detract from our competencies? Come on, women, let us not forget we are stronger together. A Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Come, make we talk. Hi.